New parenthood comes with its fair share of surprises, unexplained movements, strange noises, to mention but a few of the things that newborns can do that can be really alarming for new parents. However, most, if not all, of these strange behaviours are signs of healthy development. So to help you start your parenting journey with confidence, I've compiled a list of some of the weirder and more wonderful things that your newborn might be showing. And they are things that are perfectly normal and some that are not that often talked about, especially number 5. So the first thing we're going to look at are jerky movements and reflexes. Newborn babies make some really strange movements when they're first born. Their arms and legs can be jerking all over the place and it's very uncoordinated. Now this is because their nervous system and the connections in their nervous system are not mature yet. And so they have not learnt how to control their bodily movements. So their nervous system is not talking to their brain properly. But as they develop over the next few weeks and months, you will notice that their movements become smoother and more controlled. So those jerky movements and what looks like involuntary movements is very normal. Another thing you will notice that your baby does is they will startle quite easily. And this is when they flail and they put out their arms and their legs all of a sudden. This can be as a reaction to a loud noise, or sometimes when they're falling asleep. You know, you get that sometimes that falling feeling when you're falling asleep. Well, babies experience that as well, and that can cause them to have this reflex action. This is called the morrow or the startle reflex, and it's something that you will see in all newborn babies. Now, they can be quite distressing for new parents, but as you can see, it's a perfectly normal thing for your baby to do, and it is a sign that your baby's reflexes are working well. So it's actually a positive thing that they are making all these jerky movements and that they are having this startle reflex. Now the startle reflex and these jerky movements can sometimes disrupt your baby's sleep, and you might find, if it's something that you want to try, that swaddling when they are sleeping can help control these movements a bit, and it can stop that startle reflex and those jerky movements from waking your baby from their sleep. The second point is the strange noises that your newborn can make, and they do make some very strange noises. This is because that their respiratory system and their digestive system is immature, and so you will hear lots of gurgling, there'll be lots of snorting and grunting, even whistling. So these noises are perfectly normal, and over the next 4, 6 to 8 weeks those noises will fade. You might also notice that your baby sneezes a lot, and this is because they rely heavily on nasal breathing and that they need to clear those very narrow nasal passages, and it's the body's way of ensuring that that all-important nasal passage is kept clear. So that's why newborns can sneeze quite a lot. So now let's move on to their eyes. Now newborns can look at you sometimes and you can think, oh my goodness, my newborn's got a squint, there's something wrong with their eyes, they seem to be all over the place. This is perfectly normal. Again, it's all about immaturity. The muscles that are controlling the movement of your baby's eyes are immature. So your baby's eyes are not focusing properly yet anyway, and so their eyes sometimes look like they are falling to one side or they're squinting. This usually corrects itself by the ages of 3 to 4 months, and if your baby's squinting is not improving by that age, then you should consider seeking some medical advice. Another thing you might notice about your baby's eyes is that they don't cry tears. This is because when your baby's first born, their eyes do not produce enough moisture for them to cry, just to keep the eyes moist. So the tear ducts at the bottom of their eyes are not filling up. However, this can happen anytime between 2 weeks and 12 weeks that your baby will start to cry proper tears. So if you notice your baby's not crying proper tears at the beginning, don't panic. That is perfectly normal. The only time you need to be concerned about your newborn's eyes is if they look like they've got some form of discharge or stickiness coming from them, in which case it could be conjunctivitis and you will need to get that treated by a doctor. So let's talk about newborn breathing, and this is something that all parents are concerned about and always keep a very close eye on. There isn't a parent out there who hasn't sat and watched their baby breathing while they are asleep. But newborns breathe very rapidly. They take up to 40 to 60 breaths in a minute, and this is very rapid. However, they also do something that's called periodic breathing. So they're breathing very rapidly, and then for about 10 seconds or so, they can start breathing very slowly, and then they'll start breathing quickly again. This can be very alarming for new parents, but rest assured, it is perfectly normal. And by the time your baby's about 6 weeks weeks of age, their breathing will have settled into a more regular pattern. It's also important to know that your baby breathes through his nose predominantly in those early months. So they're about 3 to 4 months of age before they can actually mouth breathe. So they are always breathing through their nose. That's why if they get a cold or a stuffy nose, it causes them quite a bit of distress. And if you do notice that your baby's got a stuffy nose, then consult with your paediatrician and they will probably prescribe some saline drops so that you can ensure that those nasal passages stay clear. So now we come to point number 5, and this is one that can cause quite naturally some distress to parents, especially if you're not prepared for it, and it's not one that gets mentioned that often. And that is that newborn babies can have swollen breasts or swollen genitalia. In fact, some babies can even start producing a little bit of milk from their breasts, and some little baby girls can sometimes have discharge or bleeding from the vagina. Now, this is because when they were in the womb, the mother's hormones got passed on to the baby, and it is perfectly normal, and within a few weeks these symptoms fade and they are never anything to worry about. But if you are concerned, of course it can be very distressing to witness this. Always consult with your paediatrician. If you're concerned about any of the behaviours that I have said are normal, if you are concerned, it's really important that you put your mind at rest and seek medical advice if you're concerned about anything. So as we have seen, newborns can exhibit all sorts of strange behaviours and symptoms that are perfectly normal. But you know your baby best, and as I've just said, if you're at all concerned, always seek medical advice. However, at this point, I would like to mention a few things that without doubt require medical attention, and they are: if your baby is lethargic and unresponsive, if they have a fever, if they have diarrhea, if they are refusing to eat, if they are losing weight, if they are having difficulty breathing, and finally, if they have an unexplained rash. Now, there are lots of rashes that are perfectly normal on a newborn, but if you think your baby has a rash, especially if it's in conjunction with a fever, then you should definitely get it checked out by a paediatrician. And there you have it. 5 unusual, weird, but perfectly normal behaviours that you can see in newborns. I hope this video has helped demystify some of the more unusual things that you may see your newborn doing, and that it helps you start your parenting journey with more confidence. Parenting is always full of surprises, but armed with this knowledge, you will be better prepared for anything that comes while you embrace the weird and wonderful world of the newborn. Now, I'd like to take this opportunity to really thank you for all your support of the Teething to Tantrums channel. Every like, comment and subscription that you give us means that I am able to share my knowledge with those people that need it, and I really appreciate it. So thank you for watching.